Indian Navy recently completed a successful night landing of the MiG-29K fighter jet on the country's indigenous aircraft carrier. This is a major feat in getting the 40,000-ton aircraft carrier combat ready. Our correspondent Siddharth MP visited India's largest naval air base, INS Hansa in Goa, to bring you an exclusive report on the MiG-29K fighter jet and why it is the core of India's naval air combat operations.
MiG-29K, abbreviated as MiG-29K, lean and mean, travels almost twice as fast as the speed of sound, carries a wide range of bombs and missiles. In the Indian Navy, they say there are only two types of fighters, MiG-29Ks and targets. These are twin-engine, single-seat, all-weather planes meant to operate from the decks of aircraft carriers. These supersonic fighters are used to defend the aircraft carrier and its fleet and also perform strike missions on land and sea-based targets. Fighter aircraft are highly sophisticated machines with thousands of moving parts and ablaze on their tail. Imagine operating more than 24 such aircraft from a ship at sea. It's an art and science by itself, which is why only a handful of nations operate modern aircraft carriers. The carrier-based fighter pilots train for challenging jobs like no other. Their roles are totally different from land-based fighter pilots.
Like when you are carrying out operations on ground, you have a lot of ground features available to you for orientation. There might be some road, some village, some hut or some distinct feature based on which you can orientate yourself. But when you're flying over the seas, there are no such features available to you. You have to rely completely on the systems. You have to rely on the communication which you're having with the ship, and you have to rely on your other systems, onboard systems, based on which you can carry out an approach and landing on board the carrier. And unlike a runway, which is a steady platform available to us, the ship is continuously rolling, pitching, and it is continuously moving as well. So all those factors need to be catered for when you are making approach for a deck. So that is why it is quite challenging.
For a host of reasons, ship-based fighters are designed and built differently from their land-based counterparts. Carrier-borne fighters operate in environments with high salinity, face a high risk of corrosion and rust, brave storms and adverse weather at sea, and have to be able to land and take off from short carrier decks that are barely 200 meters long. That's 1/10 the length of a conventional runway. That's why the MiG-29K is built the way it is.
We are looking at the MiG-29K carrier-based fighter aircraft. This is a Russian origin aircraft which is the mainstay of Indian Navy's carrier-based fighter fleet. The K in MiG-29K stands for Korabelny. It's a Russian word which means ship-based. Of course, this is also an aircraft that operates with the Indian Air Force, but the K variant is specifically for the Navy. We'll show you around and we'll also give you some context into why this aircraft is a K variant and what makes the K variant special. Korabelny means ship-based. So here to store on the ship's deck, on the aircraft carrier's deck and in the hangars, you have this particular foldable wing, which is actually a feature which makes this aircraft easier to store. And particularly when you talk about the aircraft's engines and when you talk about the other features, this one features more powerful engines. The engines on board this one are the RD-33 Klimov engines, MK engines, RD-33 MK Klimov engines. These are much more powerful than the other variants of MiG-29 engines, primarily because they have to develop more thrust in a very short duration. And one of the most special features of this aircraft is this tail hook. You don't find this elsewhere. The tail hook is primarily meant to latch on to the arrestor wires on the carrier, and that is how this aircraft is brought to a halting stop in just a matter of 2 seconds. And that is the most precise aspect of this kind of aircraft. One other aspect about this 29K variant is that the undercarriage of the aircraft is extremely strong and much more stronger than the conventional variants, mainly because this has to handle the landings and the stress of the landings on an aircraft carrier deck. With video journalist Sujoy, Siddharth MP, WION World is One from INS Hansa.